Hello, welcome to another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor Russ Stevens and Uncle Joe McLaughlin. Oh, we have another great show for you tonight. So, boys, let's get it started. We have to start with the Boston Celtics. Look, the Boston Celtics, even when they lose, and we always start with Russell, even when they lose, it's a fun game. It's exciting. We're here for entertainment. That's what sports is about. Last night, the Celtics may have lost to OKC, but it was a regular season game. It didn't really matter in the standings. The Celtics are going to be the second seed, Russell, no matter what they do. But that was an entertaining, fun game on a Wednesday night
Hey,
in March.
I decided to go and paid, like $130 for a ticket. And
Oh,
the problem is with the NBA is you don't know who's playing, right? Like they could have showed up and sat three guys
Oh, they
and you're
did,
just
Williams and Caruso.
right. But my point is like you could show up and
Yeah.
see just a turd of a game. And there've been a bunch of turd
yeah.
games. So I was like, that's why I don't pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
Scotty, you convinced me of this years ago. Don't buy season tickets to the Celtics or even half season or quarter season because you're just going to need to pick and choose your games, and it was well worth it. Like I
Yeah.
just went alone. It was great. I had a great time because they played hard and the crowd was into it, and it was worth the
Good
money.
crowd.
Yeah. And Joe, both teams get paid. OKC's got what, the best record in basketball or
Yeah.
second best, I guess
No,
that's
Second
how it
it's the
best.
is.
best by
The
far.
best in the
No,
Western
it's not the
Conference.
best by far. It's the second
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
Second best, yeah, but it's the best in the Western Conference. Look,
Best in the
they're a hell of
West.
a
Yeah.
team. They're a force to be reckoned with. We just hope that we don't have to face them of course, if we get
Well,
to the
we're hoping
finals.
someone knocks them off before they get to us. That's for sure.
I
Because
mean, my take is they're better than we are, for sure without KP.
Yeah.
And I don't see a path to winning a 7 game series with OKC without having Porzingis there.
But I think that's really the case, Russell and Joe, no matter what. I don't think we can get away from not having the full group this year to win a championship,
This
even
year.
against Cleveland
Yeah.
too. I
Probably.
think you can say
Yeah,
that against Cleveland.
probably.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
might be able to beat the LAs of the world, but they're not getting through OKC. It's not a chance. So my question is, what team could be in the way of OKC? Who could beat them in a 7 game series?
Denver.
Denver.
You
Yeah.
think Denver could do it?
I've got the best player on earth.
Yeah. They don't have the depth they used to have, but they can put up a fight and they're experienced, whereas OKC's never gone past the second round.
And I
I
think
mean, Denver split with them this weekend.
we match up much better against Denver now than we did 2 years
Yeah.
ago, I think.
Oh, now, oh yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Than 2 years ago. I think again, we talk about the Celtics. The Celtics have gotten to those finals in 2 years ago. I don't think they beat Denver.
Yeah. And Minnesota's making some noise again with Wiggins back. I think they're undefeated with him on the floor, and they've won
Oh,
seven in a row.
that would be, I mean, is it enough, Russell, that we got Dallas last year, but to get Minnesota in the finals
Oh,
this year?
it'll never happen.
Yeah. Wouldn't
Never.
count on that. I think you're
But
you're
they're
looking.
good for an upset, like they were last year.
Yeah, you're right. Again, this is an inexperienced team, but getting more experience.
Well, they're getting more experience and they played tougher than the Celtics last night.
Yeah.
They're so long and they're so fast and
Yeah.
athletic that they just kept pushing the beginning of our offensive sets further and further out.
Yeah.
And our guys had to fight through a lot just to get the ball to their spots. And OKC has multiple guys who can cover our two best players, and we don't have anyone who can cover Stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even
We just
Jalen
don't.
Brown said they were the tougher team last night. He said, we got to match their physicality. And their two toughest guys didn't even play. So
Well, I thought
factor
Jalen,
that in.
I thought
Williams and Caruso didn't play. Their two best defenders.
I thought Jalen was terrible last night. I thought there were a couple of times
He
where
did have a very bad game.
he
I think
was
he was
He's
old.
hurt.
preoccupied with
He's
SGA.
hurt. He should not be playing right now. He should be. They should sit him out a week. It was so clear. He had no lift. I was watching him, pretty much all over the court a bunch of times,
Yeah,
and
I've
he
noticed.
was conserving energy. He has no lift. He got a shot blocked in the paint that never gets blocked.
Yeah.
He's got his knee hurts. Sit him down. He shouldn't play for 2 weeks.
But the
Yeah.
handle last night was like PTSD.
Yeah.
The past. Oh my God. Sometimes he looked like a fourth grader. That one time we had the momentum and he came
Hmm.
down and he just
Well, that's
turnover.
it's also, I don't think they face that good a defense either. That's right now the best defense in the NBA.
Hmm.
Yeah, they got those
Yep.
guys like Dort and stuff who, geez, I mean, these are
They're
big.
coming off playing teams like the Trailblazers and the Heat. Got teams that don't, and they just played Utah, who plays no defense. Then you get hit with that. It's kind of a slap in the face.
Yeah, and just big guys, like Russell said, long, and they're
Yeah,
going to get their 3-pointers off because you're going to have to give it to them because if you get close to them, they're driving right by you.
yeah,
And
and
you don't have
and
anyone.
the young legs too. What, like SGA and Caruso, the old men team.
Well, SGA is man, he's a dog as far as trying to get calls, and he's a flopper like no
Oh
other.
yeah,
Hmm.
yes. Like
Um,
a lot of guys in that kind of guy. He's looking for get to the line. He's scoring on every possession.
yeah, but wouldn't you guys agree that in the playoff time, they tend to let them play a little bit more, and the SGA shtick won't work as well?
I think to a certain extent, but they're going to allow a lot of contact. But uh, OKC creates a lot of contact. They were very handsy. They were putting a lot of bodies on people, and the Celtics were not getting the benefit of those calls. So I think the Celtics, as Joe said, Jalen and a bunch of guys mentioned lack of toughness last night. If they get into a series with OKC, they're gonna have to be ready to take a lot of abuse and give it back. Punch first.
And what's the deal with Drew Holiday turning a? I must have turned down 3 layups last night.
Oh,
Yeah,
he had that one, right? I couldn't understand. He kicked it
yeah,
out.
I
yeah,
mean, that's weird to me, and especially a smart player like him. That's 2 points, and then run down the court and play defense.
yeah, yeah. They'll start to clean that up. I think he's still knocking the rust off of himself. He didn't play for 2 or 3 weeks, and that was only his second game back. So, look, I'm not really worried about the Celtics. I'll be worried if KP doesn't come back and gain 10 pounds, and because he was playing very, very well when he went out.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, he was playing his best of the season.
Yeah.
This
yeah,
this, this flu or whatever it is that gets professional athletes is seems to be so much worse than anything we get.
well, because the locker rooms are just full of germs. It's just in germ infestation there in those locker rooms. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't hear you. Oh,
Oh, remember the
Got it.
Patriots had that horrible problem where
yeah,
they
Yeah.
had to practically fumigate the entire facility.
but that's all over sports right now. The Red Sox, they've been slammed.
Roman Anthony too.
Yeah,
One of the
and
favorites.
and Marcelo, which
Oh, two.
yeah.
They're cutting your prospects to shreds.
I don't want to mention Marcelo because Marcelo's not allowed to cough around Russell because if that's it. All of a sudden he's putting him in the recycling bin. That's it. You see, look,
I
look, I
just
didn't
like
even
my
want to mention.
player. I just want my players to play. But let's stick with the Celtics. We haven't changed
Yeah,
subjects yet, have we?
yeah.
But okay, I just want to mention Jason Tatum is Kobe. He is Kobe like I've never seen Kobe before. He's improved his game, and not that he needed that much improvement. He didn't from this year to last. He gets the basket and he's unstoppable.
He's very athletic. He can go 1-on-3 and he managed to get a nice clean shot off. It's amazing. But his game has improved immensely. He doesn't have to score 30, 40 points anymore. He got paid. He's got the max contract. He's getting paid more than anyone else in the NBA. He can afford to play the game the way he wants to play it.
But he's not missing layups anymore. the difference between
No.
last year
Oh,
and this
yeah.
year, when he gets to the basket, he's finishing like he's never
Oh,
finished.
he's always had great finishing move at the basket. It's unbelievable that how he drives the lane and never and and still gets a free shot off amongst like three sets of hands all over him.
He's a freak of nature. I mean, he's long, but he's got long arms. The guy has incredible flexibility and strength.
Body control when he's in the air, oh, amazing.
Could Jason Tatum end up the greatest Celtic?
That's how long he
Yes.
plays, and how many more championships. I don't think he'll be in the Bird Russell
Havlicek.
class. Yeah, unless he wins, at least three, probably needs to win more than three championships,
Yeah.
right?
Obviously, this is
That's
a
what
big.
we count. That's what we count around here. We don't count nice careers. I mean, had Pierce won three, we put him probably, either in that same class or just below it. And
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still below it.
And obviously, with teams like OKC nipping at your heel, you better win this year.
be awfully tough. Yeah.
It's going to be very
It's
difficult.
since it's become an international game, it's much tougher.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
so many good players on every team, except for like Washington. Look at the way Detroit has been able to turn it around in 1 year because it's even bad teams have a lot of good players on them.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite a run that you have to make in the playoffs. Celtics got lucky last year. I mean, obviously they were fortunate, but they only lost 2 games,
hmm
and they didn't have that huge amount of wear
Didn't
and
they
tear.
lose three? I think they lost three, right? Didn't they
Was three?
lose?
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
they
Yeah.
swept one series.
Yeah. And then they lost a game in any others.
Yeah. Yeah, the
So,
toughest series they had, the Indiana, was the sweep.
yeah,
Was the
I
sweep.
know.
Yeah.
I always have to remind myself that they swept Indiana because did that series look like a sweep to
Well,
you?
if
No.
Brown doesn't hit that shot in game one, that crazy shot when he's getting fouled by Siakam, who knows? That might have been a different series.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was a remarkable series. Again, so much fun though for a regular season game. Now it's about moving forward. Obviously, the playoffs start in April. It's about getting it. It's just staying healthy.
Yep. Staying healthy, giving these guys rests, but making sure they play enough so that they don't, get, lose the muscle memory and the momentum. So they did it last year. They remember this time last year, they started basically sitting one guy every night,
Yeah,
right? So it would be Jalen one night, Tatum another, White, Holiday. I would expect them to do that.
But you'd like the starting five to play together a little more than they have this year, just so they can coordinate their offense and defense together.
Yeah.
Practice
obviously,
you can only get so much practice.
obviously, PP has been the breakout player for the Celtics. He's been actually one of the breakout players for the league. I mean,
I think so.
he's been a
Yeah.
phenomenon. But another breakout player, who knew? But Cornette is a different player. I mean, than he has been in his whole career NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff last
He's
night. He's showing such athleticism for a big guy.
Yeah, he's just developed himself into a player who he's going to play in almost every playoff game, right? I would
Oh,
assume
it is.
five plus minutes, and that's with with or without KP being healthy. So yeah, that's a development story. Hauser's been up and down, better lately. They've developed players very well in this franchise. You got to give them a lot of
Yeah.
credit for that.
You got to remember, Cornette was a whole different player. He was Al Horford when he came into the league. He was three.
He was a stretch five.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
3-point shooter and a rim protector. Simple.
So let me ask you guys a question. Right now, if the season ended, the Celtics would, the Celtics opponents almost for sure are going to come from among these four: the Hawks, the Magic, the Heat, and the Bulls in the first round, depending on the plan. Is any one of those worse, a worse matchup than the others? The Hawks, the Magic, the Heat, and the Bulls.
They all stink. I don't see
I'll
any.
tell you something. The Heat's a layup. We'll sweep them. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Orlando will give us some trouble. I think
Maybe the Hawks have given us trouble in the
The
past.
Hawks have given us remember,
yeah.
the Hawks are just
Yeah.
they're very nasty to play with, and that guy can just
Oh,
get hot, Trey
Trey can
Run.
get
Yeah.
hot and
Yeah,
hit
Yeah.
him from the logo.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
you're right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want to go in the fourth quarter, 5 minutes left, and all of a sudden he takes over.
No, you don't. You
Yeah,
don't.
I think they're
Uh,
they're they're like Russell. They're like a system like the Giants, the New York Giants with the Patriots. I just think that their system doesn't uh,
right,
gel that well with ours as far
right.
as yeah they can.
But I don't think the Hawks have the length they used to
They
have.
don't. And Jalen Johnson's out, and they're 2 games under 500, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that the
Collins
bracket would
is
be
gone.
the bracket would be one of those four, and then it would be right now the Knicks are this third seed, so we get them second,
yeah.
and then it would be Cleveland and whoever comes out of that
Do you
bracket.
guys fear the Knicks?
They haven't shown up
No,
against us, and now
I don't fear
Brunson's
the
out.
Knicks. I don't fear the Knicks at all. The Knicks are likely to play the sixth seed, and right now the sixth seed is the Pistons.
Oh, they're tough.
Yeah, let's get them. Yeah, maybe.
They're a team like OKC, young, long, and athletic.
Oh, look, the Knicks are a layup too. And
Yeah, Knicks are not going to
remember, the
beat us.
Celtics blew out the Knicks by what, 40, 50 points at the
Yeah,
Madison Square Garden.
yeah, I'm not
I
worried
think
about the
have they
Knicks.
played 3 times and all 3 of them blowouts.
I'm actually more worried about 3 through 6 than I am the Knicks. The Bucks are 4 through 6. 4 through 6. The Bucks are always, they get the second or third best player
Mm.
in the NBA. The Pacers give us fits, and
Yeah.
the Pistons are just nasty. So
Yeah.
I'll take the Knicks.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
it's great that you brought this up, Russell, and this is actually a good period of time to mention it. And we'll start with you, Russell. Our ideal pathway to win a championship, pick the teams. I want to say that I think that we actually agreed on the teams last year, and it actually happened.
And it actually happened.
Yeah.
So the Heat, I just think the Heat got nothing.
Mm.
And then I want the Knicks, and then I want someone to knock the Cavs out, right? And I would probably prefer.
The Cinderella team, Detroit. How about them?
Yeah, I mean they're not the Detroit is not going to be able to beat
No,
the Celtics in
no.
7 games, so
And
that
they're
would
not going to
be
be
that
able
would
to
be
beat the
ideal.
Cavaliers either. I'm afraid.
Indy's just sitting there though, and Indy's a real bitch for us to play.
yeah.
So
Well, it's the pace. They really push you up and down the court. They make you run up and down the court. Celtics don't like that. They like to take it easy sometimes.
exactly, yeah.
Oh, well, okay, so finish the loop. So who's going to be in the conference final?
I prefer not to meet the Thunder. I would take the
No, conference
Nuggets.
final. So
It's going to be the
Oh,
Cavs.
I mean, if I think it's going to be the Cavs. I think this whole thing is geared towards Celtics Cavs 7-game series. That's what I think.
All right, and then who in the finals? OKC.
I mean, OKC's most likely. They're 12 games up on the next best team in the West. But do I think Denver, to Joe's point, do I think Denver could beat them? I do. Yeah.
So your pathway is the Heat, the Knicks, the Cavs, and
Well, the Heat, the
Denver.
Knicks. No, I mean my preferred pathway would be the Heat, the Knicks, the Cavs, the Pistons, and some shitty team in the West.
First of all,
have the Mavericks come back to life.
Right. I just pick
there's literally no
anybody
chance
but
the Pistons,
OKC.
the Pistons
Yeah.
are not making the conference finals. That would be unheard
You
of.
asked me what my preferred path
Oh,
is,
okay,
so
yeah.
I'm giving
You
it to
didn't
you.
say
Okay.
ask what will happen. You want
What I think will
No,
happen is
Russell,
I
you've
think
been
we're gonna
able to make some stuff happen. You've been
I
able
think
to
we're
do it.
gonna play I think we're gonna play the Cavs in the conference finals. That's my guess. And it's gonna go 7.
I can't see any other.
Oh yeah, Joseph. What do
any
you
way
have?
around it.
Joseph, what do you have?
It's going to be the Celtics and the Cavs in the conference.
So you
final.
have the Heat and Knicks preferred. Your preferred.
Oh yeah, I think
Knicks.
that's exactly what would happen. And I'm happy with that on the way to Cavs. That's one tough series before you go to the finals.
I want Heat, Knicks, Bucks. Because you never know. Because Bucks, if you remember, they fit the bit last year. So I'm going to bet they get it together a little bit and they have a little better run this year. And then I want Denver. I just feel like at some point with this team and with Denver's team, we're going to meet them in the finals.
I think with Denver's lack of depth, them getting through, I don't see them getting to the finals anyways. They just won't make it that long. It's a war of attrition anyways. And if they have one body fall by the wayside, if say Murray pulls his usual injury, they're done.
Yeah, well, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to the playoffs, and and no better gambling opportunities than the playoffs. They're so much fun to gamble in basketball.
Oh,
Oh,
the prop bets
oh,
they're like slam dunks. That's
some of them can really, yeah. Some of them they don't. They seem to not catch up with what's going on in the games. It's for a couple of games, and you can actually do pretty well. All right, we got to go to the Red Sox. Boys, I know you're getting excited. 2 weeks from today, the Red Sox open in Texas. Um, it's DeGrom. No, who's is it's going to be Evaldi, right? Against our
is he their number one starter now?
no, I think so. I don't think I thought it was going to be DeGrom, but DeGrom or whatever.
Yeah,
And
the old Mets pitcher.
it's not going to be
DeGrom.
DeGrom. Cora already mentioned, and of course, breaking news from the Grandstanders live desk. Rafael Devers has been convinced that that fat ass
Mhm.
is going to be sitting and just going up to hit, and he may gain like 5 pounds during the game. You know where he's going to
Hmm.
do it. The rest
Well,
of the
Pappy used to say he was on the exercise bike between innings, but I don't think so.
but again, this is not what. And Russell, you were as loud as anyone about giving him an extension, and we all agreed. But they did not pay him 30+ million to be a DH.
They did not. And the fact that he has gotten into progressively worse shape over the beginning of that contract is troubling. I mean, it's not what you want out of your best player and your team leader. It just isn't. And we can talk about this, that, or the other thing and bad shoulders, and it's just a bad he's setting a bad example. It's just not cool. That's why I want to trade him for Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Oh,
Yeah,
desperately.
absolutely, Joe. We talked about Devers and his weight gain and the fear that if you gave him a big contract and he'd be a fatty, and he's doing exactly what we said.
well, if the Red Sox are already spending 30 million a year, wouldn't it be worth their while to spend 100 grand a year with a personal trainer or a dietitian with him at all times?
I agree. You're preaching to the choir, but it doesn't sound like, and he could afford that himself if he was.
Oh, most of these players in his category do have a couple people, a trainer and a personal dietitian. He skipped the diet. I guess he is with the Trump cuts there on the dietitian.
Would you guys agree with this statement? If they didn't have Alex Cora right now as manager, he would not have agreed today to be the designated hitter.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
And I thought you made a really good point in the text group too, where they probably between Pedro and Poppy and pretty much every other Latin ball player or alumni of the Red Sox, they probably all had a run at Rafi over the last 3 weeks, and this is how long it took. 3 weeks.
Yep. And look, they signed Bregman knowing he was going to be the third baseman, right? That second baseman stuff was bullshit.
That was
I think
window
so.
dressing. Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you take a guy who just won a gold glove and not put him at his position and put a guy who's been arguably the worst third baseman in the history of baseball defensively, statistically, over the course of X amount of years, and you would stick him at third? It won't even, it doesn't make any sense. And do you think Devers understands why he's not playing third base?
No,
He understands, but he doesn't like it, and he doesn't have to like it.
Does he understand, Russell, that he's been horrific as a third baseman?
I don't. I think he's probably suffering from some level of magical thinking on this, where he thinks he's just fine. But he's not. No.
Well, he's got his first baseman Cases telling him he's fantastic. We heard that.
Who is the worst defensive first baseman in baseball?
Okay,
So,
so the starting lineup,
birds of a feather.
we have the starting lineup until Trevor Story gets hurt in the second inning of the first
Yeah,
game.
he's already been injured. So
So Corey gave us the first five. It's
I
Duran.
won the pool because I said spring training.
Yep, yeah, right. Well, you may get there. Yep. Duran leads off. Devers second, Bregman third, Cases fourth, Story fifth. What do you guys think of that?
I like
Didn't
Bregman
he?
second.
Didn't he? Didn't didn't this come up this week of that we had Bregman too high in the lineup that he was likely to move down a bit? I don't know. I could see some experimentation, Scotty. Right, left,
Well, this is what
that sort
Cora
of stuff.
said, Russell. This is what Cora
Yeah,
said yesterday. That's
Okay,
the first
yeah.
run that by me again, then, Scotty.
He said this is what Cora said.
Devers second,
Duran first, Devers second,
lefty, lefty.
Bregman third, Cases
Yeah.
fourth, and Story fifth.
Huh. Okay.
Lefty,
That makes sense.
lefty, right,
Look,
left, right. Yeah.
I think you experiment, you see how these guys do. You can
Yeah.
move a bunch. There's a bunch of guys who could probably bat at multiple parts of that order, right? That's the good news.
Yeah, they had kind of stuck Raffaella in batting ninth last year. I wonder if they want a promotion for him and maybe put him eighth.
Well, maybe it depends on who the catcher is.
It's going to be Wong.
So I think Wong hits in front of him.
Who wins the second base tryout?
Oof. Boy, I had such high hopes for this coming in, and it's a wah wah. Somebody's just going to win it by default at this point. Campbell hasn't hit. Grissom. My guess is if I were the Sox, wouldn't you send Campbell down and get him 100 at bats and get his mojo going before bring?
Yeah.
Last thing you want to do is bring him up and he goes 1 for 29. Like, we don't need that.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Put Grissom there, and if it doesn't work, you got Campbell, in the on deck circuit. Hop him on the
Yeah.
bus from Worcester.
Yeah, well, you can just alternate, Grissom and Hamilton, depending on the pitcher. If it's a righty.
I liked Hamilton. Hamilton's a great fielder at second base.
Oh,
Didn't like him at short or in the outfield, but I loved him at second.
Grissom sucks. I mean, look, we were happy to get rid of Sales, Cy Young or not. What would he care about that? Grissom's terrible. He's not. I was surprised that I wonder if they tried to put him in that crochet package and the White Sox weren't interested.
It could be. I mean, I don't think he was carrying much. I don't think he was carrying much value around with him in this offseason, right? They didn't do anything to. So look, I get Grissom in there. Maybe he gets off to a decent start, and you ride it or you trade him at the deadline.
What's the outfield going to look like? Obviously, Duran's in left and I assume Raphael is in center. I mean, I assume
Ref's not right.
Well, Abreu will play against righties, right?
No, but
And
Abreu's
Snyder will play.
Abreu's not going to
No,
come
I know
out.
he's going to start. I know, but like once he gets healthy, he'll be the
Is
starting right
Anthony going to
fielder.
make the team?
No, I don't think
I
so.
heard he's got the same thing now.
He's sick too.
So
I think
who's starting?
these guys are going to all start in Worcester.
Yeah.
They haven't earned it. I mean, you're going to start giving guys jobs who haven't earned it in spring training.
Well, who's the starting right fielder?
Ref Snyder, but Abreu will be back within a week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 162 games. Like,
Yeah.
if he misses 5, who the hell cares?
Right. So I have a.
How about your? Since they're going to have to bring someone up with them, if Abreu and Roman are on the IL, then maybe that Trace Thompson. He's hit 7 home runs now.
Come on,
Maybe.
Hey, he's hot. And then, when he cools off, you send him down and bring up Roman.
No, I like that kid. What did I say? Eaton, right? Nate Eaton.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Gabe Kapler. Russell, have you seen him?
I haven't seen him.
Yeah, the kid.
He's gotten a lot of big hits and he walks quite a bit. I've seen him walk like 3 times.
Yeah, Joe, and he's fast as hell. Oh my God! It's like he gets on first.
Yeah,
It's
automatically steals second best.
automatically. And we have a few guys like that. And that's where there's an exciting part of the Red Sox that we don't talk about is they're fast. They have some fast guys in their team. I mean,
They do.
We won't know this team.
no.
How's our pitching staff looking right now?
Oh, for God's sake!
In
Look,
shambles.
Lucas,
Shambles.
Look,
Giolito.
Giolito.
I know those Italian names are tough for you,
Yeah,
Scotty.
Giolito. They sure are. Giolito is in English is Trevor Story. I'm making
Giolito means,
It's the
by the way,
equivalent of Trevor.
I speak Italian, and Giolito does mean pulled hammy in Italian, by the
way. Was that embarrassing?
Oh, and you know how those hamstrings, they last forever. You can keep saying, "Oh, I tweaked it again," all the way to July anyway.
What do they call it? A low hamstring strain?
A low grade.
Low grade hamstrings. That's a pimple. That's literally a pimple on his hamstring.
You've got a strain, not even a pull. It's a strain, not a pull, not a tear. It's just a strain.
Are we getting anything out of him? It feels like he's never thrown a pitch for the Red Sox.
May not.
That was just a terrible signing.
It really was. It really was.
Wait, was that Breslow or Heim?
That was Breslow. That was Breslow's
That was
first
his
signing
first
last year.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What are they paying him?
Not outrageous.
I can't remember. It's not crazy, but it's not nothing, but it's not crazy.
But you want to get something out of them,
So what's the starting rotation after Crochet? It's Crochet with Bale out and Crawford out.
Crochet and Hauk, and then
Bueller.
Then Bueller. Those are the three, and then you're just piecing it together.
Fitz.
Crawford's injured.
Go with Dick
Bayo's
Fitz or Cooper Criswell, Priester,
or
one of those
the
guys.
Priester. Yeah, I mean,
I tell you something. People are gonna like Fitz, and remember he's from the Verdugo deal.
Well, you like him because he looks like Lester or Clemens out there. He's got that look to him.
Oh, well, he's a big Texan.
He's a big kid.
He's a huge. Yeah, look at those shoulders on that freaking guy. Holy shit. Yeah, I like him a lot, and the Yankees. Cashman would get ripped if Fitz ends up being a legitimate third, fourth starter for the Red Sox.
Especially where he's dying for starters now with Gill and Cole going down for maybe the season, both of them.
And he gave him for Verdugo, who's right now, out of the league.
Mm-hmm. Well, didn't the Nitwit turn down like a decent contract, like $7-8 million?
$8 million from the Pirates, he turned it down. And the Pirates and that was the team he was going to the Pirates.
He'd be the star there. Other than that pitcher there, the fireballer.
The Pirates offering $8 million is a lot of money for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone else on the team is major league minimum.
Well, I mean, didn't he know that if no other teams were offering a thing and the Pirates came calling that's what that was.
Look, Alex Verdugo has never been his greatest characteristic is not his mental strength. Let's put it that way, Scotty. So we should be surprised about this.
Yeah.
He's a schmuck.
Yeah. But look, if you that's a hell of a deal, but at least again, I'm just trying to get some kind of return from Mookie Betts. I know it'll never be anything close to equal, but we did but at least look.
You got Connor Wong.
The Angels didn't get anything for Tani. They didn't get anything. So he's got Connor Wong, and if we can get a legitimate third, fourth starter, that would be pretty good.
Well, why don't you call the Toronto Blue Jays and tell them, because that'll be what they get for Vlad Jr. Is nothing if they don't trade for Devers right now.
And Vlad came out and said that he wanted his agent that he was willing to take under $500 million deal for X amount. It was not even $40 million a year. I think it was under $40 million a year. The Red Sox, if that's the deal, and the Blue Jays weren't willing to do it.
No, the Blue Jays offered more than that.
No, they did not.
I thought they offered $460.
Well,
I don't
whatever.
know how many years
No,
that
no,
is,
he
but
said he was under 500 million that he wanted. They said.
well, 460 is under
Yeah.
500.
Look, make the deal right now. I'll
Oh, I
give you
would do that in a minute. Yeah, I would do that in a minute.
Devers and Cases. Should that get it done?
No, we if you give
You
them
don't even
Devers and
need
cases,
to.
you get more than Vlad back for that, guys. I mean, I know
Yeah.
we devalue cases, but like you're getting a replacement level, a guy who's been
Under
pretty
your
much as good as
control and cheap and
right. You already Devers is signed for a while, and cases is under your control, and to Joe's point, cheap for another couple of years. You want more than Vlad back in that deal.
yeah.
Trust me. I wouldn't give them both
Well,
of
I mean,
those guys
obviously
for
you're not
Vlad
making a deal
because
unless
Vlad's right, but you have no guarantee.
Vlad's
I
a
mean,
rental.
I don't think MLB allows you to pre-negotiate a contract. I think the Red Sox have to, you can get a
Have
wink
them
and a
in house,
nod, but
or
like
it's tampering, isn't it?
you can't, yeah, you can't sign him right away.
that's interesting.
So
You sure about that?
I think you can do that, basically in football. You don't see that much in these other sports. Just doesn't happen very much.
Yeah.
That means you got to give them permission to negotiate with the Red Sox, and you're sitting there with Toronto, and you're like, I'm going to make the deal contingent on what these two other parties come up with. Like, I wouldn't, if I was Toronto, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, here's the deal. You're on your own.
Hockey, they let him do it because during the trading deadline, there was some
You
guy,
might be right.
some star guy that they traded for, and they immediately signed him.
Yeah. They can't do it
Basketball, they're
in they
very
don't do it
tough
in
on that
basketball.
stuff.
Yeah, they don't do it in basketball and they don't do it in baseball. I've never heard of that in baseball.
You can't even like the general managers, like if Breslow was being interviewed, he can't even talk about Vlad Jr. Can't mention other guys
But
that
obviously, you
are
have
on
to
other
have a wink and
teams.
a nod, like you said. You have to know that you can re-sign him because you're not going to give up Devers and Cases for a rental.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah.
And then have the Yankees come in and swoop in and take them.
Oh my God.
But
It's a complete disaster.
Vlad would answer a lot of questions here in Fenway Park with
He
his
would.
right-handed power, and consistent right-handed power. You look at his stats since he's been in the league, and he's just entering his prime too.
I mean, to have Vlad, Tatum, and the Messiah in this town, that would be
Yeah.
three pretty big mega stars, of course, to represent 3 or 4 teams. And Vlad, if he would come to the Red Sox, would you agree that he's the face of the Red Sox the moment he puts on the uniform?
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, so that changes a lot in this town. Will those 2 weeks, Crochet said he's not going to negotiate during the season, which just is just stupid to me. Why he can't have conversations with his agent? I mean, he's that taxed. He pitches once a week.
You don't want it as a distraction because the reporters will be asking him every day, have you negotiated? Where's the contract negotiations today? Where are they today? Every day you're going to get that question. So you just eliminate that. Even if you are negotiating behind the scenes, you say you're not. And that way you don't have to answer the question.
All right, Joseph, do they re-sign him? They sign him to an extension before the season starts? Yes or no?
No.
Russell?
But during
Nope.
the season they will.
They are not. They're not going to sign him this year. They're going to hopefully sign him in the offseason.
Yeah, I think they do. I think they're going to sign him, and I think it's going to be less than we think. I think it's going to be under 30
Be
million in
great.
5 years. Yeah.
Be great.
My sources are saying I think under that 25 a year for 5 years.
Ooh, that would be a bargain basement. I can't see. His agent should be taken out and shot if he does that.
Well, those extensions don't pay as much as you think they
That sounds like Brad Marchand's agent.
Those
man.
extensions 2 years out don't pay as much as you think they do. I'm just telling you, they don't. Especially when this guy has not had one full season. I know
Scotty whips himself up into these frenzies about extensions on guys to the point where he talks like crazy talk. It's crazy talk. It gets into his head, and I actually don't think he's thought about anything else for the last 3 weeks.
The Cam Newton contract
He's
still has
forgotten
7 years to run.
he forgot Adrian's name. He can't remember the name of his two kids. He's wandering around the house. 5 and 125. 5 and 125.
Well, I don't know if it's that extreme, but it's definitely in my thoughts a lot. We gave up a lot. We got to sew this guy up, and
Yeah, exactly. And you'd be giving up a lot for Vlad, and you'd have to sew the guy up.
look, I'm still bitter about John Lester. I don't know if I'll ever truly get over that. So, but if you give me a young, controlled, left-handed pitcher who strikes guys out, I may be able to come to grips with it at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, and I need that. All right, I need my hoss, and so let's just get my guy. And look, I want him to pay anything, Russell. You think I want him under discount? I could care less what they pay.
I mean, you're preaching to the converted. I don't care. Sign him for $40 million a year. It's not my goddamn money. It's not a salary cap.
Nope. Go ahead and then pay Vlad. You want 50?
50 million a year for 10 years, Vlad. Here you go.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Yep. Because
Let's go.
to be honest with you, those guys will be worth it because the stars are always worth it. Like we say all the time, Mookie Betts deal, what a deal that is right now. Who's complaining about his salary?
Yep.
And Ohtani.
Yeah, he's one of the lowest paid players on the Dodgers, for God's sakes. Now
Nobody's complaining about Ohtani's salary, are they?
No.
I mean, the guy's worth every dime of it. Oh my God, or more. Can you imagine what the Dodgers have made off of Ohtani already? Already paid off his contract, I'm sure of it, with all the deals.
And most of it's they're not even paying it now. It's all deferred.
Yeah, they've already paid it off. Would you agree, Russell?
Yeah, I mean, it just comes with such great value that in retrospect, it's one of the great contracts that franchise has ever signed with a player, I would think.
Yeah, I mean he's the face.
Yeah.
He's the face of baseball, Ohtani. Would you agree?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the. So let's go. The
Too
Patriots.
bad he was injured during the World Series last year. I really would have enjoyed seeing him in a series at his best.
They're watching pitch too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch. I mean, all right, let's go to the Patriots. Look, the signings, we wanted them to spend money. We yelled at Kraft for years. He spent money. He did. He paid. You may not like the players or think they're worth it, but those were the guys available. We'll start with Russell. Are you happy with who they signed?
All right. So I got two things, and you're going to yell at me for one of them. So I'll start with a good one. Did they pick the right guys? Right? Did they sign they had a bunch of cornerbacks they could have signed. Did they sign the right one? They had some defensive linemen to sign. Did they sign the right linebacker? And that's gonna ultimately make or break this. But let me tell you something, and you're not gonna be happy with me. If the person who did this sort of free agency effort was named Bill Belichick, we would all be sitting here saying this is a classic Belichick move where he has a big bucket of money and he signs mainly defensive players and doesn't do anything to support his quarterback, which is what's been going on in this town for the last 15 years.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a very Belichickian free agency. He signed 3 top defensive players. And as we sit here today, after they released David Andrews, we're net neutral on the offensive line. We added a guy and we subtracted a guy.
Oh, even adding the guy didn't make it a better line either.
No, it did. Moses is a great improvement over Okafor, who played want to play.
Yeah, but you give him Moses, but then you took away your starting center. So now we've got 3 guys we got to sign.
Yeah, but I don't think Andrews was going to play anyways. He hadn't played,
but by
2.5 of the last 3 years.
Then we could have signed a center in free agency. We didn't do that.
Well, they're going to have to do this.
Well, it's still the one thing I'll say there. I wasn't blown away by the pickups either, but it's just the start. There's still like 7 months to go before this.
I totally agree. But my only point is
they got a ton of money. So.
This was the approach that Belichick took a bunch of times, which is he loads up on defense. So now it comes down to, did they pick the right defensive players? If they pick the right defensive players, it's great. It's fine.
The only one I'm out iffy on is probably going to be the crowd favorite, that Spillane, the middle linebacker,
That's
the off the ball linebacker.
I love that.
He was an undrafted free agent that had played for Vrabel at Ohio State. That's how far back those two go. He was recruited by Vrabel to Ohio State, so they go back a good ways. But he's got plenty of speed.
That's my dream guy. I've been asking.
I know it is. And you're going to hear his name a lot the way they play deep defense and funnel the ball into him.
From sideline to sideline, and he's a spaz and just going to hit people no matter who they are, no matter the tight ends, running backs, quarterbacks. That's exactly what we need. And oh my God, I can't wait to get Bentley out of here. And Tavai, oh my God, can you get two bigger stiffs in the world than those two? Please just ship them out. But look, Russell, we talk about best players available. That's when we're at a point right now that this was
it
was
a weak bunch. Yeah,
this is what the draft is going to be like. This is not a 1-year plan. You want good guys. Apparently, from all I know, Joe denies this. They were trying to get Godwin. They offered him the most money, but he wouldn't come. And then they had a shift. Would you agree if they sign Godwin, they don't sign Williams?
Look, as I said the last time I was on the show, just pick guys in the draft and sign guys in free agency who don't suck. And it looks like that was their approach. Now they're going to need to figure out a way to give Drake May a better offensive line and another weapon or two on offense, or else it's just gonna bum us out. We're gonna watch Drake May run around for his life and throw the ball 20 yards downfield late in the clock
and score 14 points a game again.
Yeah, but they've got plenty of time left, right? There's still guys in the free agency. There's plenty of guys to draft. They can make trades. So we're 1/3 of the way through this thing.
And so you have to think that obviously we're the 4th pick, that in the best case scenario, 2 quarterbacks, Sanders and Ward, get picked of those first 3. And then the decision comes, won't be made for them. It will be either Carter or Hunter will go with one of the other teams, the 3rd team.
That's the best case scenario, but it certainly doesn't sound like Sanders is going to go in the top 3 right now.
And that's the problem, because then Carter and Hunter go.
That's right.
Ward goes.
Ward.
So it looks like Ward's going to go, number 1.
And then so if that happens and Sanders is still there, you trade back.
Hopefully you can trade down. Sanders. Yeah, you trade him to you thought that the Raiders were going to need a QB, but they don't need a QB anymore because they got Geno Smith. Yeah. So you hope, you trade down. But even that Sanders thing now with the Jets, getting Fields and the Raiders getting Smith, 2 teams that were in the top 10 who needed quarterbacks they don't need quarterbacks, right, Joe? So I don't know.
Well, the Celtics, the way this draft is, there's not a lot of blue chip quality, once you get past that 4th pick there. So, if you're trading back to 12 or 14, that's not a problem either.
True. Yeah, you don't have to necessarily trade in the top 10.
And then you get a little bit more than, if you're only trading back from 4 to 6, all you get's like this year's 2nd or next year's 1st to go with it.
Yeah. So if you look at the order, Joe, if you assume that Vegas and the Jets both have solved their immediate quarterback problem, although they still may need to.
Yeah, they still may need
a young guy.
Yeah, but you want a future. You want a future guy. You
do, but let's just take the worst case scenario, right? If you figured that Vegas and the Jets have both got their quarterbacks, Carolina doesn't need one. The first team who theoretically needs a quarterback is New Orleans at 9. It's not bad, and then you're skipping all the way down to maybe Indy at 14.
Yeah, well,
I love New Orleans, since New Orleans is $50 million over the salary cap right now. They have to dump people. With them, you could get the 9th pick and a starting caliber
and a player,
maybe. That's worth a 1st round pick to get a starter, because that's what they need. They don't have starting caliber players.
And you might be able to trade up if you really liked a Campbell. and you thought that he was going to go 7, and you could trade up from 9, which I think is great. I think that's good. And then to get him if you wanted to, or something like
Oh,
that.
if you thought that if you thought like 7 is the Jets, if you thought the
Yeah,
Jets were going
seven's the
to take him,
Jets.
which they're not gonna, maybe the Jets had made a trade and it was someone else, and you thought for sure they were going to take Campbell, then you trade up.
Yeah. I
It
don't want
sounds like
Campbell. I don't want
Yeah,
Campbell. I'm out on Campbell. I'd rather pick the best player in your first round, just take the best guy on the board, and then take an offensive tackle, either trade back into the end of the first
yeah.
round or take an offensive tackle with your second pick.
You
okay. So you're
saw
not
what
going.
happened in the Super Bowl. Joe Tooney, a classy professional
Manhandled.
player, been around, but
Manhandled.
got short
Yeah,
arms and that's why he was a guy, because he had short arms.
right.
And you're going to
Yeah.
move in. The same thing will happen against good opposition. Campbell wouldn't hold up, I don't think.
No, look, Russ is going to go crazy if they draft a defensive player in the first round. It's not going to be
Well,
acceptable.
no, I mean, hear me out. Like if Hunter was there, I would definitely pick Hunter. I don't look, I think that you got to take a look at, we put so much emphasis on this fourth pick,
Hmm.
right? But really, we should be looking at the first 3 rounds.
Yeah,
And what I care about, they're going to pick at least 4 guys in the first 3 rounds. I would love basically, Scotty, I would love to see them trade down, pick up a second round pick. And if the best player on the board where they are at 9 by far is a defensive player, pick them and then just use 3 out of the next 4 picks on offensive players.
Yeah.
yeah,
I like
absolutely.
how they approach it. Actually, I thought the defensive line going before this free agency was in worse shape than their offensive line.
You
They
could
had
be right,
no one.
especially with Barmore, right? Especially with
They
Barmore.
had nothing.
I think it's pretty well established Barmore is done because I've never heard any information to the contrary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, Andrews did come back, but he's hasn't done anything for the last couple of years since he's been back.
yeah. Look, Andrews was a success story, an undersized guy who Joe always hated. Undersized guy out
Well,
of Georgia.
Oh,
and
Joe
you
hated
saw
him like
when he
poison.
became a free agent, he went out and he was going to get big money, and the
See, look,
Patriots said, go ahead," and he came crawling back for the league minimum, didn't he?
yep. Look, see,
Hated him like poison.
yeah,
Here's so breaking news, Scott. I got a little breaking news. Mike Giardi says per league source. There's 2 pieces of this. Per league source, the Patriots have reached out to Cooper Kupp, which I would love. It's believed the wideout would prefer to stay on the West Coast, but he hasn't closed any doors. And then the second one is a league source tells me Kupp's asking price is insane compared to where he is at this point in his career.
Yeah, like 14 million a year,
Yeah,
what was he
no
making when they
thanks.
cut him?
I don't know.
28 or something. Like it was
Oh, okay.
real big money.
Because I was figuring that you could trade at a 7th round pick if the deal was, what is
Yeah.
it?
Oh, yeah.
Cup is a
That's
classic
why
sort
no
of
one gave him anything.
Cup would be a classic sort of Danny Amendola type. Bring him
Yeah.
in the last few years of his career. I'd be fine with that, but I'm not spending
If
12,
it
14
was like
million dollars a year on the guy.
$6 or $7 million, yeah, I would do it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a big market for him. Could we get anything for Bourne, or are they just going to cut him?
Oh, I mean, I think he's probably your second receiver at
I'm
this
afraid
point.
he's still there.
Is that right? He did
Yeah.
literally nothing last year.
Well, who did anything
Except
more than
open
he
his
did?
mouth.
Who did anything more than he did? No one.
Again,
Well, I thought Butte had a big improvement from year one.
yeah,
Would he
well,
catch one pass
improvement.
and
Yeah,
caught about
It
12 out of bounds? But
wasn't hard. No, I thought the guy who had a sophomore slump and had all the hype was Douglas. I didn't think he was anything.
he didn't have a good year at all.
No, I think that I don't know if you can depend on him and for anything.
Oh, you know who they might end up getting is, remember what was his name? Jacoby Myers.
Oh yeah.
It's with the Vegas now. Remember, Josh McDaniels was with him in Vegas.
Oh, I love
He's
Myers.
the one who brought him to Vegas. If Vegas don't want him, maybe they'll.
I think, yeah, I think that Myers, Ayuk,
He was a good slot receiver.
yeah, I would take Myers back in a minute. He would be the best receiver in this team by a mile.
Oh, he sure would. Wait, when did we lose him? How long?
A couple of years ago.
At least 2 years ago, maybe 3. Yeah, he might be 3 years with the Raiders now.
This breaking news: Mac Jones has somebody who's going to pay him guaranteed money Mac Jones is going to make a minimum $5 million of
It
US
must be the
dollars
Jets.
still for playing football.
San Francisco 49ers.
He signs with the 49ers for a 7-year, $7 million deal for 2 years, potentially 10 million, like he's gonna get any incentives. But I mean, seriously, is anyone not watch any film on him?
Terrible.
How does he get paid
Well,
again?
well, you know, is it guaranteed money?
Yes, he's 5 million of it's guaranteed.
Yeah, because I was going to say he could be
No,
brought
5
in for
million,
camp by him,
5
and
million
then
that
they
deal's
cut him
guaranteed.
in September.
My theory is the Sam Darnold theory that these guys like Zach Wilson and Mac Jones are getting paid because Sam Darnold was on the scrap heap, and all of a sudden he had an incredible season for the Vikings, and now everybody wants to see if they can repeat that with someone else.
Yeah, the Dolphins picked up Wilson.
I didn't even know Zach Wilson was still in the league.
Yeah,
And
he was still on the Jets.
so
They just
Patriots
didn't.
pick up.
They had him buried.
I don't think we even mentioned this hardly in a text thread. They pick up a new backup quarterback in Josh Dobbs. He was
Yep.
been in like 20 teams already. Sounds like a good pickup.
He was with Vrabel before. He's a familiar face for Vrabel, so he knows someone he can bring in. And
He's like sounds like a Jacoby Brissett times two. Just the same
sure,
thing.
he's not being brought in to be competition for your Messiah. Don't worry.
Oh no. So what can we get for Joe Milton? I'm feeling like I want a second round pick.
No, they
Yeah,
carry
no.
3 quarterbacks nowadays.
Yeah, I think they probably could get a 4, but they may be holding up for a third. So we'll see. I don't think you're never going to get a second round pick unless if he plays this coming year, you could get one next year, but I don't think you can get a second rounder for him this
You
year.
trade him for a third?
I would. Yeah.
Yeah, to have
Oh,
3
yeah.
third-round picks would give you some flexibility to
Absolutely.
move up, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, imagine if you got a third for him and then you traded down and got a second, you'd have a 1-1, 2-2s, and 3-3s. That would be amazing. You'd have 6 guys in the top 100.
Yeah.
Or you do something like you don't like this draft, trade 2 of the 3s for a 1 next year.
Yeah, something like that's fine too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think teams, and learned from Jimmy Johnson a long time ago, teams have built on those third-round picks. And if you get multiple ones, you can really fill a lot of spots, especially those interior, the linemen and interior defense and interior offense. But it's exciting. We have to give props to Brookline's own Bob Kraft. He did spend money this week. We've been ripping him for
He did. Yep.
I mean, the Williams deal really sealed it because there were rumors. What was it Diane Rossini?
Carolina. Yeah, Carolina that had signed him.
They would sign
Yeah.
in Carolina, and apparently they came back and the Patriots manned up.
Yeah.
They went to an uncomfortable place to sign him, and that's what we talked about, right? And that's what we talked
Exactly
about.
right. Yeah.
He's got the biggest contract in the history of the Patriots, bigger than any of Tom Brady's.
Which is embarrassing because I mean Tom Brady's contract should have been
Tom's
so
7
big.
years gone now. So
Tom Brady's contract should have been so big that it shouldn't have taken.
but Brady was in the top 3 in the NFL every year, but that was way back in the Stone Age. Now those quarterbacks are getting 50 million a year,
but
double
again,
what he got.
But Joe Russell, it proves it has to be uncomfortable.
It does. Absolutely.
Top players,
absolutely.
You can't haggle over 3, 4, 5 million extra. Look, would you agree that the Red Sox do not regret at all, have no buyer's remorse of paying Alex Bregman $40 million this year?
Not right now. No, damn sure. Yeah.
And apparently he's incredible in the clubhouse and stuff. I know we got to get going. We'll quickly talk about the Bruins, but I'm making a prediction. They're going to extend Bregman. They're going to give Bregman what he wants. They're going to before the end of the season, they're going to tack on 3 more years.
Yet another extension, Russ.
At $100+ million, and that's going to be.
You actually
Cam Newton.
No, you need some sort of psychological counseling. I really do believe that. Like you need like counseling. This is like a glitch. up in your head somewhere.
I glitch.
Extend them.
What?
You have a
I like
glitch.
extensions.
Look,
You're
look at the
glitching.
career the Red Sox got out of Pappy, giving him 1 year at a time. We never gave him a 2-year contract. Just kept extending him 1 year at a time.
With the trauma that one time it was rumored he was going to go to the Yankees. I can't deal with that psychologically. I need my star players who have lengthy.
Tied up for decades.
Aren't you happy that Tatum's like signed up for like 50 years and Jaylen Brown, right? I mean, do you
Yeah,
have a
and
problem with
they
that?
could walk in. They could walk into Brad's office in June 18th and demand a trade. Either one of them, they could.
Yeah.
All right. Why do you have to be like that? Come on.
Well, because I'm not glitching.
Yeah. What if St. Louis gets a franchise in the
Why
expansion,
do you have to be
and then
like
Tatum
that?
wants to go home?
Why should we need to have to be like that? We're going to go to the Bruins. I don't think, I mean, last Thursday, the deadline had not happened yet, right? Because Friday was the NHL
I
deadline.
think that's right.
It's
Yeah,
it's a huge sports week in Boston. Oh my
I know.
God.
Timmy's in mourning. Timmy couldn't
Yeah.
even make it to the show tonight.
But
He's
that
wearing
was the
black.
best. That was the best win they'd had all year. That win against Florida the other night.
I know, but we
They
got
were
to
down 2-0 in the third period, 3 unanswered goals, and then Zadorov beat the shit out of Bennett with 10 seconds left to go. It put the icing on the cake.
But what do you guys think about the trading deadline? I think that Sweeney did a fantastic job. He got rid of everybody that he had to get rid of.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And apparently the Coyle deal may go down as the biggest deal ever.
Oh, that was a
So they got a number 1 pick from Colorado.
Well,
they got this kid Zellers, who nobody can believe the Colorado gave him to. He's leading the USHL in scoring.
Second,
and it's not even close. I mean, he's almost doubled the second guy.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
And
I'm all in favor of it.
they got someone to the Middlestat didn't look bad that game I watched.
No, I think they did a great job. And the whole Brad Marchand thing, Joe, you talked about it. What the hell were they offering him a 3-year deal for?
His agent should be killed. I mean, just bad for whatever. Just how can that guy be so stupid? The Bruins were offering him $19 million guaranteed, and that agent turned him down. How? Here's a guy, 37, had both hips operated on, not getting any better anytime soon.
No.
And he's getting 3 years guaranteed, and the agent turned it down and said, I want, 22.5.
Russell, no, I agree with you, Joe. Russell, do they even consider trying to sign him after the season, Marchand?
Well, to Joe's point, if he goes around, and all it takes is one other team who thinks they're one Brad Marchand away from winning a cup, and he'll get 15 million over 2 years, and I don't think the Bruins will pay him that.
He'll never get what the Bruins offered him.
No, I don't think so. I think that we'll see even if he can come back and to be able to get a second round pick for a guy who's not even going to play till
and he invoked his no trade. He wasn't going to go to any other team but Florida.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Sweeney did a good job. Now they gotta pick the right players in the draft. I still don't have a lot of faith in them, but I think Sweeney did well. He can sell. We just learned he can sell. The question is, can he buy and pick?
Yeah.
Well, at least he took some accountability, whether it just, He did say that he's the reason why they had to sell off these players is because he drafted so poorly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I appreciate his honesty, but they got to get better scouts. I mean, it's not the GMs. We always blame the GMs for the poor drafting, whether it's football, basketball, or baseball, or whatever. They depend on the scouts, and if they got to get better scouts.
Well, he's always been in love, and that's the running joke with Sweeney. He just loves local guys. I mean, he's got to get off that. Maybe he can jump in the car and drive.
Well, they sell tickets. Remember, the job is to sell tickets, not put out winners.
Well, Well, that's a short night. That was fun. That was action-packed, fellas. I really appreciate it, of course. Please check us out on the website, thegrandstanders.com. And tune in again next Thursday night at 7 o'clock for another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.